Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Sunday, December 6th. This is Season 3, Episode 3 of the Running the Bases podcast. I'm your host, Michael Garaffa, alongside Nick Nath, Ryan Blank, and Marco Peralta. We are ready for another rip-roaring and incredible show that we have here today for you. So let's do this, fellas. Today, we're going to be covering every 2020 top player per team. We're going to go through every single team and talk about their top player, their current face of the franchise, and their rising star. The top player is their 2020 top player. I did specify that in the document for anyone wondering. And then we are also going to have Marco's very first segment of Marco Polo, which will be at the end, so make sure you stick around to that. Today, we're going to be doing every team in Major League Baseball, not just AL, not just NL, all of them. Make sure you stick around at the end. I'm really excited to see Marco's segment, and also make sure that you come here next week, because next week is the beginning of a 3-week special of the top 2020 Major League Baseball players, top 50 players of 2020. We're going to be starting off next week by rating every qualified player on the American League side of baseball. Every player that is qualified, we will be giving them a rating. We'll go more into detail on that next week, but make sure you're here for that. That's going to be a fun show, and it all leads up to our top 50 players as determined by Running the Bases. That'll be coming as the very last show of 2020. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a nice little segue up to it, but before we get there, we have to review, shall we? Let's review the teams of 2020. Before we do that, we have to do this week's signings. As always, the big moves this week. We saw Mike Minor go to the Royals, Michael A. Taylor going to the Royals, Trevor May to the Mets, Jose Iglesias was traded to the Angels, and Corey Knebel was traded to the Dodgers. So no major moves. We didn't have to do a breaking news show this week, but some solid moves as we move forward, and hopefully we'll see some more over the next few weeks. This week is winter meetings week, so we might have a lot of breaking news coming this week. Make sure you're sticking around. Obviously, I'm going to be working a little bit more now that it's winter break, so I don't know when we'll get those shows in, but we're gonna make it work. If someone big signs, we'll try and make it work somehow. So, shall we? Let's get into it. 2020 team recap: the best player, the current face of the franchise, and the rising star. We're going to be quick with it. You're just going to name the player, and we're going to move on. We're just going to go around the horn the same way we normally do. Me, Nick, Ryan, and Marco. We're gonna when it gets to your turn, you're going to just say it. You're going to be the best player, the current face, and the rising star. That's all you got to do. And if you want to talk about it a little bit, try and keep it minimal, because we got to get through the show. And I have talked enough. Now, let's finally get into it. The Baltimore Orioles, shall we? We'll start it off. I've got for the best player of 2020, Jose Iglesias, an incredible year for him. Current face of the franchise was very difficult for me to determine, but I decided to go with John Means, a young star. The way I picked all these teams, faces of the franchises, when I think of that team, who do I think of? He was the first person that came to my mind. Not a really popular franchise. And then for the rising star, he had a really good year this year. I went with Ryan Mountcastle.
For best player 2020 for the Orioles, I also went with Jose Iglesias. And for current face of the franchise, this was hard to determine, like Michael said, but I went with Hanser Alberto. He's had a solid career so far. That's for the Orioles. And then for rising star, I also went with Alberto, just a young player on the rise for me for the Orioles. Really not big names, obviously, for a low market franchise.
And then he got non-tendered this week.
Yeah.
Lucky him.
Okay, so for the Orioles, their best player, I've got Jose Iglesias. Current face of the franchise, I also have John Means. And then rising star, I have Ryan Mountcastle as well. So, Michael, thanks for making me feel like I cheated.
Well, it's not. We're probably going to agree on some.
It's all true.
Yeah, we're gonna agree on some for sure. Like my play for best in 2020 for the Orioles is Jose Iglesias. But current face of the franchise, that's different. I'm going with Pedro Severino. That's what I'm going with, because that's the guy that came into my head that first time.
Okay.
And then for rising star, I got Anthony Santander.
like I said, just a strange team that it's very difficult to pinpoint these players. The Boston Red Sox was another strange one where it was difficult to pick. Best player of 2020, I settled with Xander Bogaerts. I think that he had the best year. Nick mentioned him last week. He's a really good player, had a really good year. Current face of the franchise, one you might give me a little bit of grief for, but I'm going with Chris Sale. Whenever I think of the Red Sox, I always think of Chris Sale. He didn't play this year, but still. And then for the rising star, I had to go with Bobby Dahlbeck. An incredible year from him, and he really did a great job.
Yeah, I talked about Xander last week. He was the best player for 2020. I think he's also the current face of their franchise. And then for rising star for them, I went with Alex Verdugo.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Nick. I have Bogaerts for both best player 2020 and current face of the franchise, and rising star of Verdugo. He was really good this year in the trade for Betts, and I think he's just getting started.
For the Red Sox, I have Verdugo for actually best player 2020. I was really impressed by what he did for talented roster. Face of the franchise, though, I have JD Martinez. That's the guy I think of when I think about the Red Sox. And rising star, you gotta say Alex Verdugo.
Okay. Hey, I'm not complaining. I think those are pretty good. You see, it's good to be different. Then we move on to the New York Yankees. And the Yankees, another team this year that was so filled with talent, but the best player of 2020, no question about it, is DJ LeMahieu. Their current face of the franchise. I think it would be surprising if anyone said anyone other than Aaron Judge. And their rising star, I had to pick Davy Garcia. Such a bright future ahead of that kid.
Yeah, I agree with Michael on most of these. DJ LeMahieu for best player 2020, Judge for face of their franchise, and I went with Glaber for rising star.
Okay.
For me, I actually have someone different for current face of the franchise. Best player is LeMahieu. I actually have LeMahieu as the face of the franchise. Judge, I can't put him there because he's always injured. He is never fully healthy. And then rising star, that one was really tough for me, but I also went with Gleyber Torres. He had a down year this year, but I think it's also the adjustment to shortstop that he had to go through. But I still think he's an MVP on the rise.
Yeah, with my picks for the Yankees, I went with Nick. What he said, I got LeMahieu for best player 2020, Aaron Judge, face of the franchise, and for rising star, Gleyber Torres. That's what I got for the Yankees.
Well, I think you guys took a little different approach than I did for the rising star. I opted to go with more of younger, like first or second year players for most of them that I felt like were going to be.
I did basically kind of like a balance of that. Like I was like I was looking at young, but not too young, so kind of like in the middle, and they had really like solid years. That's what I did. So
That's
I'm
fine.
not like
everyone has a different view of what a rising star.
Some of them are going to be a little bit older because like there's nothing else to put on the on that categories in some teams, but yeah, that's how I did it.
Some were a struggle, that's for sure. Then we go to the Tampa Bay Rays, the defending 2020 American League champions. Their best player 2020 was a very difficult one for me. It was hard to pick between him and a Rosarena, but I went with Brandon Lau to be the best player of 2020. The only reason I didn't pick a Rosarena was because he didn't play the full season. Current face of the franchise, I mean, it's tough to say between Kiermaier and Snell, but I ended up going with Blake Snell for the face of the franchise. And then for the rising star, I mean, obviously, it's got to be Randy Rosarena after what he did in the World Series. We hope that he can. I mean, the only thing I worry about is that after being arrested, that something like that can get into his head and maybe prevent him from being the player he can be. But I really hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I agree with Michael for most of them. Brandon Lowe had the best 2020 for me. I was close to picking Rosarena, but like you said, he didn't play the entire season. I went with Tyler Glasnow for face of the franchise, and then I went with Randy Rosarena for rising star.
Yeah, for me, I agree with all of Michael's. I have Brandon Lau as the best player 2020. What it came down to was just Rosarena not playing the full season. Blake Snell is the current face of the franchise and rising star. You can't put anyone else besides Rosarena.
Well, I'm going to disagree with all you guys on that one. I'm going to go with Randy as best player 2020 because of what he did at the end. You know, without him, I don't think they make the World Series. So Randy Rosarena, the best player 2020, face of the franchise, Blake Snell. And since I don't want to put Randy Rosarena again, I put Willy Adames as rising star for the Rays.
All right. I like that. Those are some solid picks. Then the last team of the American League East, we have the Toronto Blue Jays, another very interesting team. But their best player 2020, I mean, I think it's pretty clear to me that it's Teoscar Hernandez. What an incredible year, breakout year for him. I would put him as the rising star, but he's been in the league a little long enough for me. For the current face of the franchise, I went with Vlad Guerrero Jr. And then for the rising star, I know, Marco, he's your buddy, Alejandro Kirk, the legend. I think he's going to be a star one day.
For best player 2020, I went with Lourdes Gurriel Jr. To me, he had a solid year all around for the Blue Jays, batted 308. And then for current face of the franchise, I went with Vlad. And then for rising star, I went with Bobichet. Not Bobichet. How do you say his name?
I'm not sure who you. I don't know who you're talking about.
I forgot how you say his name. But come back to me.
Spell it. Just spell it. We can figure it out.
Biggio?
Yeah. No.
Just spell it out, bro.
I don't have it spelled out very. I don't have it spelled out very well. I'll just come back to me.
Okay, we'll come back to you, Ryan.
Yeah, my top player of the year for the Blue Jays goes Lourdes Gurriel. Current face of the franchise, I disagree with you, Michael. I'm going with Bo Bichette. That dude has been a beast.
That's who I meant. Yeah.
And then rising star, I have Nate Pearson. I think he's going to be really good. He did have a high ERA this year, but I think he's going to be really good in the future.
Okay.
Okay, so my best player of 2020, I went with actually Hyun-Jin Ryu, their starting pitcher. That's why I went. I like what he did this year for the Blue Jays. Face of the franchise, I got to go with Vladdy Guerrero Jr. And rising star, even though he's older than Vladdy, I have to go with Bo Bichette.
Hey, nothing wrong with it. I completely agree. So I want to change things up here for the AL Central. And what we're going to be doing when we get to our teams individually, we will start them off. So when we get to the Tigers, Nick, you'll start. But Nick, I'm going to have you start us off with the AL Central. You'll be the one who starts every team off, and then we'll just go, and I'll be last.
Yeah. So
I'm nervous for when we get our teams, because if we get roasted, in case I say the rising star or like face of the franchise and like best player 2020, and Nick or Ryan or you, Michael, gets offended of our picks. That's what I'm worried about.
With this in particular, it's our teams. We know our teams better than anyone else. So you can't really get offended on that.
So starting with the White Sox, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So best player 2020, obviously you got to go Jose Abreu, the MVP. No question there. Face of the franchise, I also want Abreu after what he did this year. And then rising star, I went with Luis Robert.
I agree with Nick on all three: Abreu, and Luis Robert.
Oh, my bad. Abreu, and Luis Robert too.
Ooh, let's get it. Hold on. We got to do it because I agree on all three. Yeah. Come on. Let's get the 3, 2, 1. No, we can't see Ryan. We know he's doing it.
I know he did it.
Ryan has a legitimate excuse for why he can't be on camera today. I don't want to. It's personal reasons, so I just don't. Well, I mean, his back.
One thing about it, I feel like I am getting stabbed in the back by 1,000 knives.
Yeah, his back is in pain, so he's not on camera today, unfortunately. But he's still there. It's not like he's just ignoring us. He has a real reason today. So White Sox, yeah, you can't disagree. So then we go to the Cleveland Indians. Nick, kick it. I almost just said kick it away. Just kick it away. Go ahead.
Best player 2020, I went with Jose Ramirez. No much doubt there. Face of their franchise, I went with Lindor. And rising star, I might get some hate for this, but I also went with Lindor too. I just feel like Lindor hasn't reached his peak yet, and I think he's still a rising star in my opinion.
I like that. That's actually that's a good take.
My best player of 2020 for the Indians is Shane Bieber, someone who easily could have been an MVP candidate and actually got votes for it. Current face of the franchise, I went Lindor. And then rising star, I actually went with Tristan McKenzie. He looked really good in the games that I saw him pitch, and I think he's going to be a big piece of that rotation.
For my picks for the Indians, best player 2020 is Shane Bieber. And for face of the franchise, it's Lindor. But the one that I have for rising star, he's been in this team for quite a bit, but he's really young. And I think he's going to be a really, really good starter, especially now that Clemenger's out. I'm going to go with Zach.
Okay, I like that.
He
I
has so
actually
much potential, bro. He has so much potential.
so much potential.
So much potential.
There you go. So this is what I get for going last. That I have the same exact ones as Ryan here. I have Shane Bieber, Francisco Lindor, and Tristan McKenzie. I really debated a lot between Ramirez and Bieber, but I came to Bieber. So Nick, you've got the Tigers.
I'm nervous now. Man, I'm nervous.
Okay, so best player 2020, I went with Jaime Candelario. Consistently our best player of the year, about like almost 300 for the year. Current Priester franchise that you got to go Miggy. I mean, there's not much question there until he retires. He'll be your Tiger for life. And the rising star, I went with Willie Castro. I think I like what he did last half of the season. I think he's our catcher for the future. And looks like we got Marco. We got a bingo for Marco.
I agree with Nick on all of them. I have Candelario, Cabrera, and Castro.
Yeah, I agree with all three, but here's another reason why I'm so nervous. It's because I'm trying to aim at all three of your guys' teams. What you guys would think. That's fine. So I'm 1 for 3 right now, so I'm happy about that.
Okay. Well, we're 4 for 4 here on the Tigers. So yet again, we've got another one. Let's do it. And who would have thought the Tigers? I mean, they're like the Orioles. It was tough to pick, but I mean, it was
Okay.
I'm saying it was tough to, you know what I mean. It was hard to pick, but I mean, Candelario definitely was their best player. I mean, that was the only one that was really a question for me. So Ryan, you'll start us off with the Royals. We'll go back to Nick and then Marco and then me.
Okay, gentlemen, here we go. Royals best player 2020. It was hard between Witt and Salvi, but I went with Salvi. Salvi was insane this year. The current face of the franchise is also Salvi. He's the guy there. It's he and Witt. He's that veteran presence, and he's still one of the best catchers in the game. And rising star, I actually have 2 because it is so close. I have Brady Singer, who was great this year, and then Edward Olivares, who actually came over to the Royals in a trade from the Padres, and he was really good for them. And he could easily be one of those guys starting in the outfield in 2021.
Oh, my bad. I mean, obviously Ryan knows the team better than any of us, but I went with Witt for best player 2020. Obviously, Salvi definitely could be worthy of that. Face of the franchise, I went with Salvi, and then for rising star, I went with Singer.
Mine's a little bit different. Well, besides the 2020 and face of the franchise, Salvador Perez, no question about it. But my rising star, because I like what he's been doing so far, and maybe you agree with me a little bit, Ryan, but I'm going to go with Brad Keller.
Okay, here's my thing with Brad Keller. I love Brad Keller. Big fan. I think that he's not for the Royals. I went youthful on rising star because the Royals are so young. Keller is the number 1 in that rotation. So I don't know if I can really say he's the rising star because he's been consistent. He's the top dog in that rotation.
So me and Ryan agree on all 3. So I've actually been right for both Nick and Ryan. So all I have left is Marco for a complete 3-way bingo. So Marco's out of the picture. Nick and Ryan still have to do with mine and Marco's. So we get the Royals done, and then Nick, you'll finish us off by starting us off with the Twins.
All right, best player 2020, I got Nelson Cruz. Not much debate there. Current face of the franchise, this is kind of hard, but I went with Kepler. I don't know, it's kind of the first player that just pops in my head. And the rising star, I went with Byron Buxton.
Yeah, for best player 2020, it's Nelson Cruz. He was insane. He had 16 home runs. I agree with Nick on face of the franchise, Max Kepler, mainly because every time he faces the Royals, he kills them, and I hate Max Kepler because of it. And then for rising star, that one was actually really tough for me. I thought that there were a few very good pieces there, and I'm actually going to go with Randy Dobnik, the Uber driver. I think that he was good this year, and I think he is only going to get better.
Okay.
Yeah, so for 2020, best player, obviously, it's got to be Nelson Cruz. I almost him for face the franchise, but the fact that I think he's a free agent, I don't think he qualifies for that. I think for one team I did, but I'm gonna go with Kepler. That was my backup one, like Nick and Ryan said. But my rising star, it's Matt Whistler. I think that's how I say his name. Yeah, Matt Whistler. Yeah, so that's my rising star for the Twins.
See, the funny thing is that I think people forget that Matt Whistler's been in the big leagues for like 6 years. He was with the Braves for so long, and he just never pitched well. And now he finally is finding his stride. So the Twins was another interesting one. I obviously Nelson Cruz, best player 2020. I was surprised though that none of us picked him to be the best player, the face of the franchise. I went with Byron Buxton for face of the franchise. I think Kepler's very close, but I think that Buxton is more on the rise, and I think he might have just passed him this year with his play. And for rising star with Caleb Thielbar, he is an incredible reliever, had a really great year, even was in a conversation for a potential Rookie of the Year vote. So pretty solid for him. We go over to the AL West, and Ryan, I'm going to have you started off in the AL West, and then I'll be the one doing the NL East, obviously, because that's the Mets category. So you start us off, Ryan, with the Astros.
Yeah, so their best player 2020, there were a few solid pieces, but I had to go for looking at consistency. And despite not playing 50 games, I actually went with Michael Brantley as their top player. Hit 300. I just think that looking at consistency, I had to put him over Springer. Even though Springer did hit 14 home runs, I still think that what it comes down to is Michael Brantley was a consistent guy in the lineup who you could expect to get on base a lot. And then current face of the franchise, this one was tough, but I actually went with Carlos Correa. I would have gone with Springer, but since he's a free agent, I couldn't do that. And then rising star, I got to go with Christian Javier. Javier was great this year, 5-2, 3.48 ERA, and then he was great in the playoffs. So that's my rising star.
Absolutely. Marco?
So for my Houston Astros, the best player of 2020, for me, it's got to be George Springer. But the current face of the franchise, that one's kind of tough because unfortunately he couldn't play this year because of surgery. So I'm going to go with Justin Verlander. I think he's the face of the franchise, in my opinion. But for rising star, I got to go with Andre Scrub. I think he has a really bright future in 20 games, 1.9 ERA. That's pretty good.
That is really good. Another underrated player being overshadowed a lot by Christian Javier. So for the best player 2020, wish I could go with the future Met and George Springer, but I can't. I have to go with Michael Brantley. Just a really great year, very consistent. The average is really what put him over the top for me. Current face of the franchise, if you asked me this question 2 years ago, it would have been current faces because, it was Bregman, Altuve, Springer, and Correa all at the same time, and Verlander. It would have been 5 at once. But this year, it's just whittled itself down to Carlos Correa. Just an incredible player. He really established that in the playoffs. And then rising star, I had to go with Christian Javier, the thumbnail for this video.
Yeah, I kind of took a lot of different picks. But let's start 2020. I went with Michael Brantley, obviously, consistency-wise. Current face of the franchise, first player I think of Jose Altuve. He's been there the longest. It's hard not to go with him for me. And then for rising star, I went with Framber Valdez.
All right, I like that. Good little change of pace. So then, Ryan, you kick us off with the Angels.
Angels, this one was tough for best player, but I went with Trout because even though his average was down at 281, it was still the third highest on the team, and he hit 17 home runs. So that's really what it came down to. Current face of the franchise, easy, Trout. And then rising star, I actually have David Fletcher, who I almost put for the best season, but he batted .319 on the year in 49 games and had only 3 home runs, but added 13 doubles, which was a team high.
That's pretty good.
For the Angels, I have Mike Trout too for best player 2020, even though it was a down year for him, but he had 280 for crying out loud. That's really good for some players. That's a career high sometimes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I'm gonna go with Mike Trout for 2020, face of the franchise. Obviously, Mike Trout and rising star. You said David Fletcher, right, Ryan?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with David Fletcher too. Yeah.
So obviously we're all going to agree on best player of 2020 and current face of the franchise and Mike Trout. But for rising star, I actually went with Jared Walsh, a pitcher had a really solid year. I think he could be a good piece for the future.
Yeah, obviously best player 2020, face of the franchise. It's Trout. For rising star, I went with Shohei Ohtani. still think there's some stuff left there. Hopefully, he can be consistent pitcher and batter.
Yeah, hasn't reached his full potential yet. Then we go to the Oakland Athletics. Ryan, let's see what you got.
Yeah, so looking at all this, I had to go with the best player of 2020 had to be Chris Bassett. He was overshadowed by the dominance of Shane Bieber this year. He went 5-2 and had a 2.29 ERA this year. He was a big piece of that rotation, and I think that he's going to be a big piece of their rotation for years to come. Current face of the franchise, I went with the corner duo of Chapman and Olsen. Those two are the staple of that franchise. And then rising star, I have Jesus Luzardo.
Okay.
Okay, so for me, my best player for 2020, gotta go Matt Olson, even though his average was pretty bad. Yeah, I think they had big contributions to the team. Face of the franchise, I think it's Matt Chapman. I think like when I think about the Athletics, I think about Matt Chapman. And for rising star, I think I'm saying his name right. Jake Dykman. I'm going with him. Dykman. You see?
Yeah. But still, hey, he's a stud. That guy's he's going to be a great pitcher. For the Athletics best player of 2020, I think you guys might have been forgetting. I think Nick probably. I have a feeling Nick and I agree on this one. But for best player of 2020, went with Liam Hendricks. I mean, just an incredible year for him. I mean, he's dominant. He's incredible. Current face of the franchise had to go with Chapman. And for the rising star, I went with Sean Murphy, their catcher. Really a bright future ahead of that kid.
Yeah, I took a different way, Michael. Best player of 2020, I went with Olsen.
Okay.
Face of the franchise, I went with Olsen and Chapman, and then for rising star, I actually went Hendricks.
Okay, all right. See, at least you put Hendricks in there somewhere. I mean,
right. I was hoping someone would put Hendricks.
Yeah, you had to acknowledge it. All right, Ryan, let's get the Mariners.
Okay, Mariners, here's what it comes down to. Best player 2020, Kyle Lewis. Rising star, Kyle Lewis. Face of the franchise, Kyle Lewis.
I kind of agree with all of them, except for face of the franchise, because just the fact he's been there for so long, I have to go with Seager's brother, so I'm going to go with Kyle.
Okay, I could see that. I did the same as Ryan. I have Kyle Lewis across the board. I mean, when I think of the Mariners, that's the only person I think of at this point.
I literally had Lewis for like all three, and then I just remembered Seager, and I was like, I can't give it to someone that just played 1 year, so I went with Seager for face of the franchise.
Hey, the Mariners are they're a simple team for right now. Kyle Lewis and Kyle Seager. The two Kyles are the only two players you think of. So then we now wrap up the American League here with the Texas Rangers. Ryan, let's see what you got.
Sorry about that. Best player of 2020, I actually went with Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. I think he was really good. He hit 280 this year. And
such a bad year for this team. Just really unfortunate.
You said it. You hit it the nail on the head really with that. Just an overall bad year for them. Face the franchise is hard. But I'm going to go with Rougned Odor only because when you say Rangers in my head, you have just a knockout of him to Bautista. So that's really where that came in. And then Rising Star, this one was tough because I like a couple guys on their pitching staff. But overall, I'm actually going to go with Nick Solak. That 268, had 2 home runs. He added 56 hits in 58 games. So, and he's young. He's only 25. So I think he's going to be really good for them.
So for the Rangers, like you said, Michael, a bad year for this team. It was ridiculous. My best play for 2020, even though he did pretty bad after the trade deadline, I'm going to go with Lance Lynn because I think that was basically their best player on the team. And for face of the franchise, it was kind of hard for me as well because like I Odor a lot, but I kind of want to choose someone different. So I chose Joey Gallo as face of the franchise. And then for Rising Star, I am going with Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. There you go.
There you go.
It just sucks because like I try to read these names in English and automatically my head thinks it's Spanish. So I think of English Falefa, but like in Spanish Falefa. So I'm
that's actually the way it's pronounced. It is
Falefa. It's Falefa. I think he is basically he's from Central America, isn't he?
I have no clue.
I'll look it up.
I know he's got a fun name though. For the Rangers, I mean, like I said before, just not a good year. Best player 2020, I went different here. I went with Jonathan Hernandez, who pitched very well this year for them, had a really underrated year. I mean, there wasn't really anyone on this team that did well, so I had to just stick with him. Their current face of the franchise. It's funny because everyone thinks of someone different when they think of every team, and I wanted to go with, when I thought of the team, who did I think of first? And I went with Joey Gallo. And for Rising Star, I have high hopes for this kid because I had him on my MLB The Show team in like 2023, and that's Anderson Tejeda. I think he's got a bright future.
Falefa is from Honolulu.
Oh, interesting. See, I never would have thought that.
Yeah, so I'm going with the Honolulu kid for best player 2020. And then I'm going with Joey Gallo for face of the franchise. And then we're going Honolulu again for Rising Star.
Yeah, if we can't say his name, we'd be like, oh, the Honolulu
boy.
Kid.
Hey, when I used to play, when I would do MLB The Show and I had Jose Ramirez, I used to call him Little Bonnie Boy because that's where he was from. He's from Bonnie. And I was like, hey, it fit well. And then anytime I see him, that's what I think of. So we go to the National League and might as well go to the most competitive division that will be in 2020 in baseball, the National League East. The Atlanta Braves started off over there, and what a year they had. Almost the National League champs. Best player of 2020, Freddie Freeman, absolutely. Current face of the franchise, though, I went a little different here, and I went with Ronald Acuna Jr. I love Freddie Freeman, but they are so close, and I think more people think of Acuna than when they think of the Braves. It's unfortunate because Freeman deserves more credit. And then the rising star, I went with Ian Anderson. He's going to be an ace one day. Yes, Nick, we're going.
Yeah. Best player 2020, you got to go, obviously, the MVP, Freeman. Basically, the franchise, I also went Freeman, but I think it will be Acuna very soon. And then Rising Star, I went with Acuna.
Okay.
For me, top player 2020 for the Braves, Freeman. Current face of the franchise, I got to go Freeman. I think he's that veteran presence he's a top dog in that locker room. And then Rising Star, I've got Max Fried. You saw a lot from him this year, and I just think he's going to get better. I think he is an ace potential player in a Cy Young candidate in 2021.
Okay.
For the Atlanta Braves, I had for face of the franchise and best player 2020, Freddie Freeman. But I went a little bit different on mine. Oh, yeah, I'm thinking about different. It was a different team I'm thinking about. For Rising Star, I'm gonna go with Ian Anderson. Like, that guy's so young and he did so good. So I agree with you, Michael. And like, he's gonna be a star one day. He's gonna be an ace one day.
He's gonna be a stud. I mean, that kid's gonna be great. Then we go to the Marlins, who had a very good year this year. Really impressed with how they did. And their best player 2020, I went with Miguel Rojas. So I also have to give their face of the franchise too. He really developed this year as a star, became a spokesperson for the team, and that really was good for him. And then the rising star went with Sixto Sanchez. I also think he's got a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, the Marlins were just a tough team to gauge just because of their COVID situation, just what they went through. For me, the best player of 2020, I went with Jesus Aguilar. Face of the franchise, I went with Brian Anderson, and then for Rising Star, I went with Sixto Sanchez.
Michael, I agree with you. I went Rojas, and then Sixto Sanchez.
Well, I went Anderson for 2020, Rojas, face of the franchise, and Rising Star, Sixto Sanchez.
All right, so we all agree on Sixto Sanchez. It's just that this team is so different, and like you said, I mean, Brandon Kinsler also a really great year. Then we go to my very own New York Mets, and this one I'm intrigued to see what you guys say. So I want you guys to start it first. Marco, I know you're the one who's competing for it. Why are we doing this on purpose, or is this just a nice coincidence that I'm the only one on the screen?
Well, at the beginning, you said the most competitive division in 2021, the NL East. Come on, man.
Every single team in the NL East next year could go over 500. There's no question about it. Every single team. You can't. The Marlins went over. The Marlins can be at 500 this year. So you can't tell me that's how I gauge it. Every team can be over 500. So Marco, I want you to start because I know you wanted to do that. We'll go Marco, Nick, and Ryan, and then we'll go me last for the Mets.
Okay, sounds good. So for the New York Mets, I think we have the same best player 2020 and face of the franchise, Jacob deGrom.
I don't know. We'll see at the end.
Yeah, it's not. So I'm going Jacob deGrom for face of the franchise and best player in 2020. And you might agree with me on this one, Michael. Not maybe your pick, but maybe agree with it. Dominic Smith for Rising Star of the New York Mets. That's what I'm going with.
I like the picks. Nick, we'll go you and then Ryan.
Yeah, I agree with Marco for two of them. Best player of 2020 and face of the franchise. I got to go DeGrom. And then Rising Star. If I can pick Lindor for this too, I'm going to go with Alonso with this too. Get Alonso.
Okay. Ryan.
That's right.
Okay, so best player 2020 for the Mets. I went with Michael Conforto. Current face of franchise, I went with DeGrom. And Rising Star, I went David Peterson. He was really good this year, and I think he's going to be a big piece of that team.
All right, so I give Ryan a lot of credit.
And Marcus Stroman.
All right, so best player of 2020, Dominic Smith. He had such an amazing year, broke out. DeGrom had a Hey.
Wait, Nick, you gotta say it too. Huh?
It is such a good year for a player that has struggled so much in his career. Current face of the franchise, I know you guys are going to hate me for it. I'm going Pete Alonso. I mean, Pete Alonso has become – look, Jacob deGrom is Jacob deGrom, but the Mets, when you look at that team, they have used Pete Alonso so much more than deGrom in advertising, and he's become that face. And I'm impressed that he has already. And then Rising Star, Ryan, you get the credit for it. David Peterson. I mean, he's going to be a big part of this rotation one day. So – we'll go back.
I'm legit gonna leave.
Why? It's my team. We said it that we can't. It's my team. I know them better than anybody else, and you guys all know your teams better than anybody.
Yeah, and you're wearing a Boston Red Sox shirt.
It's actually a Mookie Betts shirt. I got it because it's a Mookie Betts shirt. So,
it's part of your addiction, right?
Yes. So the Philadelphia Phillies, another strange team this year for me. I feel bad for them because they had so many high hopes. But for the best player 2020, I actually went with Bryce Harper, and I think he actually lived up to his potential this year, had a really good year. That's no discredit to Real Muto. Well, looking at their stats this year, I also am really disappointed that you guys really favored Real Muto last year for best player because he didn't even have a great year. I mean, he didn't even bat over 260, didn't have many home runs. I don't remember who we picked for, Darno for best catcher last week. Not important though. But best player 2020, Bryce Harper, face of the franchise. I also had to go with Bryce Harper. I mean, that big contract, he can't not be. And then for the Rising Star, Alec Boehm, almost rookie of the year, and just a really great year for him.
Yeah, I agree with all three.
Oh, all right. I'm impressed. I try to explain myself as if that I would get grief for it. Ryan, let's see what you got.
That was perfect.
Best player of 2020. I actually went with Alec Boehm. In 44 games, he came up, hit 338, and added 11 doubles, which was a team high. I think he is also their rising star, but face of the franchise is Bryce Harper.
I guess I'm the only JT guy. So best player 2020, I'm gonna go JT Realmuto. Face of the franchise, Bryce Harper. Rising star, Alec Boehm.
Okay.
He's a little overrated of a season.
I agree. That's why I really hope the Mets don't get him because he's too expensive for how he played this year. So the Washington Nationals, best player 2020 and face of the franchise, Juan Soto. Dominant year. And rising star, Andrew Stevenson. He's been in the league for a few years, but had a very underrated year this year. Didn't play him a lot this year, but when he did, he was really impactful. He killed the Mets a few times too.
Yeah, best player 2020. This was so tough. I mean, I got to go Soto just because how dominant he was, but Trey Turner is a very close second for me. Face of the franchise, I also got to go Soto, but rising star, I'm going Soto and Turner. Those are studs in the making.
Yeah, my best player 2020 and face of the franchise is Soto. My rising star is going to be Trey Turner. I think he had a terrific year, and I think next year he could be an MVP candidate.
Okay.
Yeah, for my best player 2020, I went with Juan Soto. The only thing about that I'm choosing for face of the franchise, I got to go with Max Scherzer because that's who I automatically think of every time I think of the Nationals. I got to go with Max Scherzer because what he's done throughout his entire career. So Max Scherzer and rising star. I kind of went different from Juan Soto and Trey Turner because of the fact that they've been here for a couple of years already. So I went with Luis Garcia as a rising star for the Nationals.
I like that. Giving Garcia the little boost there. I was thinking the same thing initially. So with the AL Central, Nick, I'm going to reward you for being the first today because this is
Did I
the
make
one.
him mad?
Huh?
Nick, did I
No,
make mad? Nick, did I make you mad or something?
No,
he
no,
just-
no, 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 no.
he just
Okay,
turned his camera.
because I said Max Scherzer, he was like, "Oh, I gotta turn this thing
Oh,
off."
bye.
Yeah, I got a little butthurt that he left. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, that's true. A little unfortunate. So Nick, this is the one division that I didn't know who to pick, but because you were here first today, I'll give you the NL Central to start it off.
Yeah, so Cubs best player 2020. I went with Ian Happ. This was just a struggling Cubs team the entire year, batting wise. Base their franchise, first player that came to mind was Chris Bryant. I think Rizzo and Baez are obviously also stellar pitchers. And then rising star, I also went with Ian Happ too. Just a solid year.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I agree, I went for best player. I had Ian Happ. For current face of franchise, I went with Anthony Rizzo, and then rising star, I went with Ian Happ again.
Well, for me, no discredit to Ian Happ. I just think he's been here for quite a long time. For Rising Star, but I'm gonna go with best player. This was a kind of tough one for me because the Cubs have been really struggling. So I'm between Ian Happ and Wilson Contreras, and I end up going with Wilson Contreras for I don't know because just I don't know I just like the guy. You know?
No, you'll see what I mean in a minute.
Yeah, Wilson Contreras. I'm gonna go with him. And for face of the franchise, Anthony Rizzo. And for Rising Star, Adbert Alzole.
Legend. So, did you guys all forget about you, Darvish, for best player 2020? Because the guy was literally second in the Cy Young voting. I mean, I can't not go with him. Ian Happ had a solid year, but Yu Darvish was just dominant all year long. Current face of the franchise, there's so many to pick from. I went with Baez because I think he's the only one out of the core that's going to be there for a long time. And then Rising Star went with Albert Alzolay.
And because he's the cover of MLB The Show 20, is that another reason why?
That's part of the reason. I see it every day when I
know you too well, Michael. I know you too well.
That's true. All right, Nick, you got it.
Best player. So the Reds. Sorry. Best player of 2020. Got to go Trevor Bauer for me. Face their franchise until he retires. It'll always be Votto. And then for Rising Star, I might need help saying his name. His last name's Aquino.
Oh, Aristides.
Thank you. Yeah, he's my Rising Star.
Yeah, for my top performer, it's Bauer. Face of franchise, no doubt, is Votto until that guy retires. I actually had a lot of trouble thinking about who would be their rising star. And I'm actually going to branch away from Aquino, and I'm actually going to go with Jose Garcia. I know he didn't bat well, only had 194, but in 24 games, he did have 13 hits. I think that he could be the guy to take over at short if they don't get Didi Gregorius.
For my best player 2020, it has to go Trevor Bauer. And for face of the franchise, we all said it. It's got to be Joey Votto until he retires. For my Rising Star, I'm going with Lucas Sims. That's what I'm going with. I like the guy. He's come a long way. He came here in 2018. He had a really tough ERA, 6.75, if I'm not mistaken, in 2018. And now in 2020, he had 2.45. So that's a big improvement.
Yeah, for the Reds, 2020, obviously Bauer, face of the franchise, Votto. For the Rising Star, I went with a little different. I went with TJ Antone, a pitcher who had a pretty good year, and I think he could end up being a big piece in the future. So, Nick, we'll go to the Brewers. This is a pretty easy one, I think, for at least two of the three, if not all three.
Yeah, best player 2020, I think you could have easily gone Devin Williams, but I went with Orlando Arcias. And then for face of the franchise, I went with Yelich, obviously. And then for Rising Star, I went with Devin Williams.
Top performer of 2020, I went Devin Williams. Face of the franchise, Christian Yelich. And then for Rising Star, went back to Williams. He was insane this year.
Yeah, I agree with Williams. Best player 2020, Rising Star, Williams, and face of the franchise, it's always going to be Christian Yelich.
Yeah, I agree. All three. Devin Williams, Yelich, Devin Williams. I mean, difficult to disagree. Then we go to the Pirates. Nick, let's see what you got.
Let's start 2021 with First of all, the Pirates suck. Colin Moran.
Had to
Let's
be
start
stated.
2020. Josh Bell for face of the franchise, and then I'm going back with Moran for Rising Star.
Okay.
Yeah, I went Moran for best player 2020. Josh Bell's current face of the franchise, but for Rising Star, I actually went with Ke'Bryan Hayes. In 24 games, he hit 376 and had 5 home runs. I was very impressed with Hayes, and I think that he is going to be a guy who could become their everyday third baseman.
I'm going to agree with Ryan. All three of them.
Wow.
That's what I'm going to go with. Colin Moran for best player, Josh Bell, face of the franchise, and Brian Hayes for Brian Hayes for Rising Star.
So, I went with a year ago. This was completely different, but best player 2020, I actually went with Ke'Bryan Hayes. It was difficult for me to pick Colin Moran. I actually have Colin Moran as the face of the franchise. For some reason, he was the first player I thought of. I think Josh Bell, just such a down year for him. And then for the Rising Star, I had to go with Ke'Bryan Hayes.
So for Cardinals, best player 2020, I'm with Paul Goldschmidt. Face of the franchise, until he retires, it'll be Yadier Molina. And then Rising Star, I went with Colton Wong. I think Colton Wong's a severely underrated player in this league.
Yeah, so this one's actually been tough for me because of free agents, but best player 2020 was easily Goldschmidt. I really like what he did. My face of the franchise, since Molina is a free agent, I actually went with Adam Wainwright. And then for my Rising Star, give me Tyler O'Neill. I know he didn't hit well, but dang, is he a great fielder. And I think he can get the bat under control. So I think Tyler O'Neill's going to be a star for this team.
Hold on. Now, you said that you can't pick Molina because he's a free agent, but so is Adam Wainwright. So
He re-signed.
he did? When?
I thought I saw something that said he re-signed.
I don't think
Okay,
he
look,
re-signed yet. I'm almost positive he hasn't re-signed yet. Marco, go ahead.
You can say Molina now. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. For best player 2020 for the Cardinals, it's no doubt about it. Paul Goldschmidt, face of the franchise, no doubt about it. Yadier Molina. But for Rising Star, I'm going to go with Genesis Cabrera. 2 years in the league, been pretty solid. I like the kid.
He's pretty good. You can't complain about that. So Adam Wainwright hasn't signed yet. To clarify that, Adam Wainwright is not signed. So
I'll still stick with my pick.
that's fine. You can stick with it. I just wanted to make sure because your logic was because Molina's a free agent.
I thought I saw something that I signed. Obviously, it's Molina, but I'm going to stick with my pick for some stupid reason. So, but overall, I think it's Molina. Even though I think he's more likely to re-sign than Wainwright. I think Wainwright might retire.
We'll see what happens with Wainwright. But for the Cardinals, Goldschmidt, Molina. But for Rising Star, I actually went with Kwang Hyun Kim. I think he had another really good year. And another really impressive player who was able to go out there and pitch very well every day. Well, when he pitched. Oh, Nick, that's right. We're done with the AL Central. I keep forgetting that you're not after me after that. So NL West, Marco, this is your category to start us off. Kick us with the Diamondbacks.
Okay, for Diamondbacks, this was a little bit hard for facing the franchise, but I'm starting with the best player of 2020, Christian Walker. I think he had a really great for the Diamondbacks. And facing the franchise, it's hard because think about Ketel Marte, but they lost Jake Lamb, Paul Goldschmidt, so with Madison Bumgarner. That was their big signing in the offseason. That's what I thought of every time I think about the Diamondbacks. Madison Bumgarner. And for Rising Star, I'm going to go with Zach Gallen. That's what I'm going with.
D-backs are tough, man. Another really disappointing year for them. Best player 2020, I went with David Peralta, had an incredible OPS this year. Didn't have the average to show for it, but did very well. Face of the franchise, I agree. I went with Madison Bumgarner. For the Rising Star, I went with Merrill Kelly. There's a lot of young stars in there that actually had a pretty solid set of years this year.
Yeah, best player 2020, I also went with David Peralta. Face of the franchise, it was tough. I mean, I went with Ketel Marte, but there's a variety of options you could have chosen from. And then for Rising Star, I went with Zach Gallen.
For me, I went with David Peralta as the star for 2020. Face of the franchise was hard, but I went with Ketel Marte. He's been a beast the past couple years. And then rising star, I actually have – it was hard between Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen, but I went with Zach Gallen.
Okay. All right, Marco, then that brings you over to the Rockies.
Okay, so for the Rockies, their best player for this 2020 was Trevor Story. No question about it. Phenomenal player. But face of the franchise, I have to go with Nolan Arenado. And there's been rumors of him being traded away. Nolan Arenado, for me, face of the franchise. And a rising star for the Rockies is Ramel Tapia. That's what I'm going with for rising star.
All right, Marco, we agree. That's all I need to say. Nick?
Yeah, I basically agree. I went with Story, Arenado, and then I went for Story for rising star too.
Okay.
Did you do that also with like Acuna? Like you put Acuna as a rising star?
Yeah, I just feel like they haven't reached their full potential yet. That's how I did rising star.
Yeah,
that's pretty fair.
Yeah, I think it's hard for me because I think they're really good that they should be considered rising stars, but I know they're like have more potential, so but it's different.
Okay, so for the Rockies, best player 2020, Trevor Story for sure. Current face of franchise, Nolan Arenado. Rising star, I wanted to go away from Michael and Marco, so I went with Antonio Sanzatella. 25
Okay.
5-3 with a 3.44 ERA. I think he's going to be a big piece of that rotation for years to come.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, Marco, let's hear your Dodgers.
Well, I'll do the same thing with you. I'll let you guys start with the Dodgers and see which you guys got it correct. So I'll toss it over to Ryan, because he's on this side.
Oh, wow. Marco making the executive
Oh,
decision.
And also because like me and Ryan's team the same colorway and same font when it comes to the uniforms. So just saying.
Go ahead, Ryan.
For me, this one was tough for top player of the year because for me, it's been between Seager and Turner. So what became the difference for me was playoffs. And I'm going to go with Corey Seager as the best player for 2020. He was clutch in the playoffs. He had a great season overall. He really proved that he is a top shortstop in the league. Face of the franchise was tough because you could either go with Cody Bellinger or Mookie Betts, but I'm going to go with Mookie Betts, even though he's only been there for 1 year, for one reason. He made constant plays in the playoffs that warrant him being that guy. You could also say you could go with Bellinger or even Justin Turner, I thought of, because he's that longtime Dodger.
No.
And then rising star. Excuse you, sir.
Sorry. I
Rising,
want to get to Marco's segment.
rising star, I'm going with Julio Urias. He was terrific in the playoffs. He's only 23 years old, and I think he's just going to get better and be a big piece of that rotation or bullpen, depending which way Dave Roberts wants to use him.
All right, so Dodgers best player 2020, I had to go with Corey Seager. For face of the franchise, I mean, I had no question. I had to go with Clayton Kershaw.
Thank you.
I mean, Clayton Kershaw is Clayton Kershaw. And then rising star, I went with Dustin May. I mean, just a really great year for him. Julio Urias is my number 2, and I know that's your boy, Marco, but I think Dustin May has a little bit more potential to be a top star.
Yeah. Best player 2020, Seager. Face of the franchise, Kershaw. Rising star, I really couldn't pick. I went with Gavin Lux and Dustin May. Obviously, Urias is going to be up there too, but I really like Lux and May.
All right, Marco.
So Michael and Nick got 2 out of 3 right.
Almost got all 3 on all 3. Damn.
Corey Seager, best player 2020, the franchise has to be Clayton Kershaw. But I'm going to go a little bit different with the rising star because he's so young. He is my age too. I'm going to go with Brusdar Graterol.
Oh.
101 miles per hour, almost every pitch, bro. He has the potential of being the best reliever in baseball.
Okay.
Like maybe like how Josh Hader is. That's what I think about Graterol. I think he can be really good.
So now before we get to Marco's segment, we'll just fly through these last 3. We'll just say the team and the players. So Padres best player 2020, Machado. Current face of the franchise, I went with Tatis, and then for the rising star, I went with Cronenworth.
Yeah, I went Machado, Tatis.
Oh wait, my bad. Go Ryan. My bad.
I went Machado, Tatis. Because, real quick, current face of the franchise, when you think of the Padres, boom, it's Fernando Tatis. Mainly because I lived with Dominic Stern, but still.
That's true.
So for mine, I'm going to go Manny Machado, Tatis, and Chris Paddock for Rising Star.
Oh, I love Chris Paddock. All right. Giants best player 2020, Brandon Belt. Current face of the franchise, I also went with Brandon Belt. And for Rising Star, I went with Mike Yastrzemski, who could have been best player 2020, but just missed.
Yeah, I'm actually going to change my pick. Best player 2020, I'm going with Donovan Solano. And then first of the franchise, I'm going Yastrzemski. And then Rising Star, I'm going with Yastrzemski as well.
I agree with Nick. For best player 2020, I went with Donovan Solano as well. Current face of the franchise, it's like Joey Votto. He is going to be the face of the franchise until he retires. Buster Posey. And then Rising Star, Mike Yastrzemski.
Okay. So for the Giants, face of the
You cut
you guys
out,
and
Marco.
Donovan Solano and Rising Star, Yastrzemski. But oh my bad. For Rising
You're good.
Star,
We heard you.
Yastrzemski, did you
We
hear
heard you.
Okay.
It came in at the end, yes.
Donovan Solano, 2020. But for face of the franchise, I was between Buster Posey, Brandon Crawford. So I'm gonna go actually with Brandon Crawford because he gave me so many nightmares growing up. That was ridiculous.
That's true. All right, so that wraps up the review of that. Marco, I want to hear your segment. Again, if you're listening on Blaze, only got a couple more minutes. We might end up going a few minutes over on here, but we're going to try and keep it small. But Marco, with your segment, again, and remind everyone what it is going to be Marco will say something or someone, and we have to say the first person or thing, whatever comes to our mind. The first thing that comes to our mind, we will say it. So, Marco, we can do it whether you want to do it as a game. You can say, like, whoever gets it right, like, you tell me what you want to do.
I have two categories: before the 2000s and after the 2000s. Just saying.
How many players do we got in both?
There's 8, so 4 and 4.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
but not all of them are players. Some of them are events.
Okay.
Okay.
So, are we going to do it in a game, or are we just going to
Yeah.
say the first thing that comes to our mind?
Yeah, I'll just say I'll say one, and then whatever comes to your mind. Okay. So I'm gonna go with classic before 2000s.
And make sure everyone you're unmuted so we can say it right
Yes.
away.
Okay. So this is for classic before 2000s. Who is the first player you think of when you hear stolen bases?
Ricky Henderson.
And I just said Ricky Hernandez. Ricky Henderson.
I gotta give it a Nick then because you said the wrong name.
Dang.
Okay.
All
So Nick, all right, I'll give you that one. And let's do one after 2000 so we could close out for Blaze. Okay. So for after 2000s, who is a player you think of Game 6 hero?
David Freese.
Nick, you got it again.
Oh, dang.
We with
Okay. All right.
So if you want to hear the rest of this segment, which Marco is making also, I mean, I gave you guys baseline segments and you guys made them great. So I'm loving that. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with all these segments during the rest of this season for season 3 and beyond. So if you're listening on Blaze, again, we will be continuing the rest of this segment on YouTube. You can listen to it there. But if you enjoyed this show today, thank you very much for listening. Make sure you tune on back next week if you want to hear us rate every single qualified player in the American League on a scale of 0 to 100 on the road to our top 50 players of 2020. Thank you all for listening on Blaze. We'll see you all next week. Obviously, though, as normal, if you are here on YouTube, we're going to finish up with the Marco's segment, the Marco Polo segment, and let's hear what you got. We still got 6 more players. We got to come back here.
Okay, so Nick is leading. Wow, he's doing pretty good. Okay, so 4256 before 2000s.
What?
4,256.
Oh, P-Rose.
There you go, Michael.
I was so confused.
I was like, what?
I wanted to make it a little bit hard.
I thought he was going Jackie Robinson.
No,
and I was like,
I didn't want to say 4,000 because I think it would have been pretty easy. But I was like 4,256. But I was like, they're not gonna get it. So I would go 4,256.
Okay.
I was so confused.
All right, so it's 2-1-0.
Okay. After 2000s, Pine Tar.
Oh wait, after. Okay, yeah.
After. Oh, Michael Pineda.
Yes.
There you go.
There we go.
Boy, you came back, Michael. I like that.
There we go. There we go. Let's go.
I
Ryan's
we
got
got-
it.
just remember him doing it too. God.
We got 4 left. Okay.
Okay.
Come on, Ryan. You got to catch up, brother. Okay.
Yeah.
So before 2000s, 56.
Oh,
Jordan
Bonds? McGuire? I don't know.
Ryan got it.
Who?
Joe DiMaggio.
56 game hitting streak.
Oh. I didn't think of it that way. I was thinking of number first, and then I was thinking of home runs. So, all right, Ryan on the board. He's got if he wins the next one, then we've got a streak going of 2-2-2.
Okay. So this one is pretty cool. Okay. After 2000s, back to back to back.
Giants? I mean, not really, but I want to ask a clarifying question. Does this have to do with home runs?
What's that? Sorry, you cut out.
Does this have to do with home runs?
Nope.
No. Who? Dodgers?
Nope. Hall of Famer. Back to back to back Hall of Famer.
Who'd you say? No, Nick, we couldn't hear you.
I said Trout, but that's not right.
Oh. I don't know. You gotta give us some.
Verlander? I don't know. I'm really no idea.
I don't know. You're gonna have to give us another hint.
You sure?
Scherzer.
Yeah.
Wait. What'd you say, Ryan?
Scherzer.
Cy Young.
Kershaw.
Nope.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Really?
John Smoltz? John Smoltz.
Nope.
He said after 2000s.
Yeah, John Smoltz did very well in the early 2000s.
That's not what I'm thinking.
All right.
You guys are missing a key. Like, he's the best to ever do it, bro. From the mound. Come on.
Yeah.
Is it Greg Maddux?
Okay. Last clue.
I got it. I think I got it.
Ryan.
Randy Johnson.
There you go. Randy.
Let's go.
Randy Johnson.
Oh, I didn't know he won 3 in a row.
Wasn't it like 2000 to 2002 though?
No, yeah, that's after 2000.
Okay,
So
back
at the
that
beginning.
tripped me up because you said after 2000s. I didn't think of
So it's 2000 and on.
Okay, so the thing about Randy Johnson is that he won actually 4 straight Cy Youngs, but he's the only pitcher in this millennium to win 3 straight Cy Young awards. He won it in 99, 2000, 01, and 2002.
Wow.
So he's the only one to win it 3 straight times. So, man, we got 2 left, and everyone's tied. Man, it's good. Yeah. Okay. What is the first thing that comes to you guys' head when you hear the year of 1998?
Oh,
Wasn't the year of the? Was that the year of the strike? No. 1998 Yankees.
Mm-mm.
Alex Rodriguez.
Mm-mm.
oh,
1998. I don't know. I'm not very good at my pre-2000s stuff, so that's my fault.
wait, hold on.
What's up?
Oh wait, I think Michael already said Yankees winning AL record 114 games.
I just said the Yankees, but
Nope.
Seriously? Okay.
back-to-back World Series from the Yankees.
Nope.
See, now the only way that I can win this, well, actually, the
Yeah,
only way that any of
I have
us can
no
win this
idea.
is you have to win this one and the next one. So you have to win back-to-back if you want to win.
Yeah, so if someone doesn't
Give us
get
a
it
hint.
here, there's a chance that basically you're eliminated. So
1998.
Wait, hold on. 98 wasn't that when they expanded to 30 MLB teams?
nope.
What?
Well, I'm not thinking
Well,
of
that might
that.
have been.
event.
The
That's
last
not what
couple
he's
hundreds are
thinking.
good,
All right, let's get a
Oh,
hint.
but fair enough.
30 for 30.
Oh, McGuire Sosa.
Thank you, Nick.
Let's go.
All right, Nick. In order to win, though, you've got to win the next category.
I guarantee
so.
I'm not losing though. I'm guaranteed not a loss.
That's true.
Okay. So,
Ah!
all right. Last thing. think if you get this one, you win. Whoever wins it has a tie, and they
Or
have
win.
to go against get a tiebreaker.
Oh,
Okay.
I like it. Okay.
Oh,
Okay. So, what comes to your head? What event comes to your head when the year of 2003 comes into your head?
Oh,
the catch, the flip,
Jim Edmonds?
the flip, or
That can mean anything, bro.
the Jeter catch in the
The
sand.
Jeter flip. The Jeter flip.
I said flip
Nope.
and catch.
The Jim Edmonds catch.
Nope.
No, that was too early.
The bloody sock.
Ooh, what?
You remember the bloody sock?
Oh, Red Sox. Red
Marlins.
Sox breaking their drought.
Marlins in the World Series.
3-0 comeback. 3-0 comeback.
No.
Oh, what?
This is so good.
Damn, I don't know.
2003. We were
Dude,
3 years old.
I know that 2003 stands out in my mind, and I
A-Rod
can't
winning
remember.
his first MVP.
Huh?
A-Rod winning his first MVP.
Nope.
I just can't. Are you sure it's not the catch?
Are you sure?
I'll give you
just
one more
changed.
clue. I'll give you one more clue.
Hold on.
It happened. Okay, go ahead.
Roy Halladay winning
Nope.
the Cy Young with 22
Nope.
wins and 9 complete games. Damn
Nope.
it.
Postseason.
Thank you so much.
That doesn't help much.
Thank you so much.
I mean, Nick already said Marlins.
All right. I'll give you one more. Postseason, National League. That's it.
Marlins.
Nope. It's an event that happened that everyone hated this.
Dude, I really could not tell you.
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think of another clue, but
I thought it was the fucking flip, bro.
no, it's not that. Okay.
I don't even think it's 2003. That was the year.
Hold on.
Yeah, Ryan?
I'm probably very much wrong, but wasn't there some event during, I think, in top of an inning in the NLCS that happened? Is that what you're referring to?
Wait, like the top of the innings? Is that what you're saying? At the beginning of the games?
Yeah.
No. But you're close though. You're close though. You're really, really close.
See, now
No, but
One of
look at
my-
what Ryan said. He said NLCS. So start.
one of my
thinking about it.
buddies gave me the answer, so I can't say it. I'm disqualified. I can't say what it was because he wrote to me and told me because he's watching the show and I don't want to cheat. But
All right,
I never
text
would
me,
have gotten it.
text me. Text
I
me,
never would have
text me.
gotten it anyway.
Ryan, text me. I mean, Michael, text me your answer. Text me what it was. It's not going to count. So you're qualified. You're done.
Well, if
Okay.
this is the right answer, if this is the answer,
No, you're right, Michael. It's
okay.
Would it
Dude,
be
I-
what Bernie Mac did?
huh?
Would it be what Bernie Mac did singing?
Nope.
Ah!
This
Dude,
is so good.
I
I
literally have no
personally,
idea.
I have no idea what it even is. He just sent me a word, and I was like, "What? I don't know what that means."
You don't know this, bro? Are you kidding
No.
me, man?
I don't.
Oh
I really
my
don't.
God.
Let me look it up and see. Maybe I'll. Huh? It comes up first.
I don't know.
How does the 3-1 lead? The Marlins go to the World Series. What is? Am I close?
Oh,
Miguel Cabrera was on the team. That's all I know.
No, Marco, they're never gonna get this.
They're never gonna get it. It's so good, though.
They're
It's
never
so
gonna.
good.
You've got to give us another one
But
because
it's good,
this
isn't it, Michael?
It's incredible. For a last one, it's incredible, but I think it's a little
I am
too
not
hard.
giving up on this.
No, I
Okay.
gave up. Sorry.
You're
You give
you're
up?
never gonna get it, Ryan.
No, I refuse to give up.
No, I gave up.
Ryan,
Just tell us.
Ryan, you will never get it. It will take you hours to get it.
I'm thinking now.
I just want to know at this point, please.
We'll give Ryan
Well,
till
Ryan-
109 on the clock. So you got 30 seconds, Ryan.
If you don't get it, Ryan, no one gets it, and Nick wins. But if you get it,
Yeah,
you get a
No, we got to
tiebreaker.
no, whoa. We got to
What
do
do you
another
mean?
question. That's not fair.
Okay,
Wait
I'll
a
be
minute.
thinking.
Fair.
Okay, give up.
Figured out.
All right. So the answer, while you think of the thing, the answer is the Steve Bartman fan who interfered with Moise Alou,
Oh,
the Steve Bartman incident. He's the one who was wearing the headphones and caught the ball that ended up. I actually don't remember this. I had to watch the video.
I remember this name. Steve Bartman.
What'd you say?
No, I remember this event.
Okay. Well, it was 2003. So
Sorry, you remember it now.
yeah. Fortunate for you, you remembered it a little too late. So while Marco thinks of that next question, I just wanted to say I love how these segments have turned out. I'm really glad that we have been doing them because they have been so much fun. It has been. I love the creativity that you guys have thrown into it. I would make my own, but I don't need to. You guys
Okay.
have taken all of the excitement and put it in your own. So you got another one for us?
Yeah, well, apparently no one got that point. But man, Bartman, bro, that was a good one, bro. I got you guys. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's go here later. 2004. What comes to your head?
2004. I was
Blown
3
lead.
years-
Huh?
3-0 lead. Blown lead. I don't know.
I'm gonna go
Red Sox-
giving hints little by
Red Sox
little.
Jake.
Oh, 86-year-long break from the Red Sox. First World Series in 86 years.
Wasn't that 2000?
You're really, really close, but Nick,
I said 3-0 lead. Blown.
How's that not it?
huh?
They broke the curse of the Bambino.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about one specific event.
What?
The bloody sock.
Nope,
You're joking right now.
I'm not.
Jonathan Papelbon jumping in, or no, that wasn't Jonathan Papelbon. The closer jumping into the arms of his catcher. I don't know.
He comes out in Fox Sports for baseball now.
Ortiz.
Oh,
Stinger.
Aaron Boone. No, wait, never mind. Wrong year.
Ortiz
Nick.
walked a home run.
Stinger.
There you go, Nick. You got it.
Ortiz Stinger. I said Ortiz Stinger before him.
You didn't say that. You just said the home.
He said Ortiz, and I said Ortiz Dinger.
Oh, I didn't hear it. You probably cut out.
No! Dang it! You're joking!
I didn't hear it. My bad. I really didn't hear it. I know maybe because of everyone was talking, it didn't come through. But if you did, I'm sorry, Ryan. But I gotta go with Nick on this one.
So Michael's in last.
No, that's not how that works.
Let's go. I haven't lost a segment yet.
I'm
Let's go.
impressed, Nick. Nick's coming out here swinging.
Hey, I won Nick's segment. I'll say that.
Fair enough.
I haven't. Wait. Did I? I haven't won. I haven't won any of them yet. Leave it to me.
So
But
who's
that's all right.
next week.
Me.
We're going back to Nick. The order is just Nick, Ryan, Marco. So again, to refresh. So
Wait,
next
okay,
week.
hold on. Let's just go through them once again. So we relive these events so everyone remembers them. Okay, so before 2000, stolen bases. I said Ricky Henderson.
See,
Yeah.
even you did it. Even you did it. See why? I said Ricky
Henderson.
Hernandez.
Hernandez that comes to mind.
Hernandez.
Ricky Henderson.
It's Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah. So for current number one, Game 6 hero, David Freese, Nick got that one, and also Nick got the Ricky Henderson.
Can we talk about real quick? Can we talk about how stupid I was? I heard Game 6, and I went immediately to the 2014 World Series with Yordano Ventura. and yet, I was also thinking David Freese at the same time.
I didn't even know you said that.
It's like that.
Oh my god.
I didn't either.
My brain just decided to say Ventura instead of David Freese.
Oh my god, that's amazing. But 4,256 Pete Rose's hits, most in MLB history. Pine Tar Michael Pineda, 56 Joe DiMaggio's hitting streak. Back-to-back Randy Johnson, Cy Young Award winner. 1998, the race of the home run title between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa. 2003, Bartman's incident with the Cubs, and to win it all by Mr. Nick Nath. Boston Red Sox, David Ortiz home run in 2004 ALCS Game 5. Good job,
Hey,
Nick.
I'm
Nick
still
is
very-
on
I
fire.
said Ortiz Dinger, and I get cucked.
Hey, I'm used to our cheese fingers in the playoffs. Okay, let me have this one.
Ryan, if your camera was on, we would have seen your mouth moving. Would have
That
asked
would have
you
been
what you said.
awesome, bro.
I'm sorry, I can't move.
Yeah, I know. So just make sure next week you come back out and watch us begin our discussion of the 3-week segment of the top 50 players of MLB of 2020. This is going to be something that we're doing for the very first time. And in order to do so, we are going to have to rate every single player from every team in 2020 that can qualify, because we can't just magically, the four of us can't come together and pick each spot. We're going to have to go through it. We're going to have to give them numbers, assign them, and then I will go afterwards and do the averages and figure it all out. And then we will announce them in a few weeks. We will be doing the American League side next week, and we'll also have the very second edition of the Nick Knock segment. So thank you all for coming on out this week. Winter meetings this week. Be on the lookout. If any big players sign, whoever's free will be here to cover it on a breaking news show. If anyone signs this week, we hope they will. So thank you all for watching. We will hopefully see you sometime during the week. If not, we'll see you all next Sunday. Enjoy the winter meetings and have a